What is up, you guys? I'm so glad you're back for another episode with me on Unscripted here, the podcast. If you're new, welcome. This is my weekly show where we get to talk about all the things, yes, but a lot of business strategy gets talked about on this show. A lot of, perspective shifts, as I like to call them, around things that I know you're struggling with because I'm struggling with them too. I see you talk about them on social media. You hear me talk about them on social media. That might be how you found me. That's might be how we're connected. But just know that I'm so glad that you're here. I'm riding high on some really good energy from an in-person event last night that we hosted. My co-host Jamie and she and I met probably like a year and a half ago through other people in our networking space. We both live in San Diego and we connected over coffee and lunches a few times and really just came to the same conclusion that we wanted to create community here in San Diego. And so everything I'm going to share on today's episode is all about taking quick, decisive action even if you don't quite feel really clear or ready to do that thing, especially when it comes to something that's not super, I don't know, time consuming or a large investment. Like a lot of us just sit in that indecision and just let fear and overwhelm and the little nuances and the details just hold us back from even trying or taking action further than like the creative thought that you had or the intuitive download that the universe dropped on your heart and soul to create or to build or to look into or to play around with. Often we think we have to know all of the answers and have this like totally clear, mapped out, blueprint in order to do the thing or start the thing, or in our case, create an in-person event for community people in our local, network here. So I'm really excited because this is our third event that we've hosted. We started these back in December and we literally had the concept put together after an hour of Pilates and a lot of coffee. We just went with it. And we had been talking about it as something that we wanted to do, like this far off thing, like, wouldn't it be cool when or if? And, Jamie's been on a lot of stages. She's known as the ad expert on Instagram. She talks a lot about Instagram and Facebook ads, her story with marketing, and then getting really niche on going all in on one thing and becoming known as the expert in that space was something that I was drawn to because a lot of us want to coin ourselves as, I'm holding up air quotes, multi-passionate entrepreneurs. And often when you're starting in the business, there are so many things that you can do, so many things that you're good at, so many things that you could create: an ebook, a course, a freebie, a downloadable, um, a mastermind, maybe even an in-person event. You could do a plethora of things. You could do consulting work. You enter whatever it is that you've probably dabbled with or thought about doing. Now, if you're somebody who has maybe come from the corporate space and you're new to entrepreneurship, or maybe you've been in entrepreneurship for a while, but you have been feeling burnt out, or you've been feeling like, I've tried this and it didn't work out for me last time, so I'm a little bit hesitant to do things. Share with me, Jess, like how you move through the fear and just start taking action. So that's what we're going to dive into. So yeah, riding high from last night's event. Again, it was our third one and they're just getting better and better. The first one was great. After it was said and done, I was like, "Oh my god, we did a great job." Well, of course, now looking back after the third one, I'm like, "This one was amazing, 10 times better than the first one." But nobody cares. Nobody cares but me. It's like when you plan a wedding or you plan anything and like little things don't go right, like you're the only one who knew that didn't go right. And so we've learned something at every event and we've made the tweaks and changes and we've discussed like what's really moving the needle, what is important. Am I stressing out about things that aren't that big of a deal? Is she stressing out about things that aren't that big of a deal? And coming back to why we're doing the event, which was to create community within San Diego, which was the one desirable point that both of us wanted. So we determined that we were going to be the people to create the thing that we wanted. And we both had been to so many different networking events, and often they're a little boring, they're a little stuffy, they're a little salesy, and they're a little forced, right? And so I have this new space, Creative House SD, here in San Diego. It's about 1,000 square feet. It's a loft space in downtown. It's a vibe. And I have enough room for about 25 seats, plus the speakers and the people that come and help us with audio and visual and a photographer. So we probably have about 30 to 35 people in the space for the event. Now, what's cool about that is it makes it really intimate, and so you would think that'd be a little bit more approachable for people, but it's also had an opposite effect that I thought it would. It almost makes people a little bit more uncomfortable, the speakers in particular, because it is such an intimate event. They can see who they're talking to. They're in such close proximity. There's a lot of, like, maybe spotlight type of pressure where they're like, "Oh my god, these people are right here. They're staring at me." And so it's been really interesting, and I've learned a lot, but what I've also learned about myself is the more I practice something, the more confident I feel. And I've known that to be true for myself, and I'm sure it's true for you with everything that I do. And I remember when I pivoted from being a behind the chair stylist and salon owner into the online space, there were so many moments of what we like to call imposter syndrome. And I hated that term. I'm like, I'm not an imposter. I'm not trying to be something I'm not. I'm trying to do something I've never done. So can't we rephrase that and be like, you're just new? You're just brand new at something. You're not an imposter. And I do love the phrase fake it till you make it because I do think that we can put on a persona of somebody who's hosted events, even if we've never hosted one. We can say we're a podcaster, even if we have never hit record. We can step into that persona of who we want to become before we've even done the thing. Like my girlfriend has a podcast called Be It Till You See It, meaning like you have to embody and be and do the thing until you actually see yourself as that or actually until you actually become it, right? You can't be a multimillionaire until you become a multimillionaire. But if you start thinking like one, if you start acting like one, if you start embodying what a multimillionaire would do every single day, then you will probably be closer to becoming one than anybody else who can't even foresee that life for themselves. So, Jamie and I had this crazy idea, but it wasn't that crazy. It was literally like, hey, if we're going to do this, let's do it right. What's that going to look like? So, this is going to be a two-part. The next episode that I'm going to record for you is all around intuitive knowings and what to look for when you're thinking about partnering with somebody for work specifically, and then even with who you spend time with. It's very important the conversations that you're having and with who. Because often, as you know, you might have a conversation with one person about something and get a totally different energy and response versus somebody else. And so often we go to the person we know is going to give us the response we want or the conversation that we think we need rather than the person who could potentially help us in a situation or tell us the thing that we need to hear or be that tough love for us or kind of be the black to the white version of whatever it is that we're talking about. And so, I told Jamie what my struggles had been before when I've partnered with other people because I am an ideas person. I can come up with a million ideas. I have no real attachment to any of them. I know that all of them could be great. But what I know is that ideas are shit without integration, action, and then consistency. And then on top of that, collecting data, see what works, try it and test, do all the things, and so on and so forth in order to grow and scale the said idea. So, with that being said, me being able to be vulnerable enough with her after developing somewhat of a base friendship, telling her where I struggled in partnerships prior to working with her around different ideas I'd had and businesses that I've created over the last couple of years, I think it was really clear that she knew she could fill the role of creating this event that I needed. I gave her all the list of things I love to do. I have the space. I love setting things up. I love curating the event. I love getting on social media and talking about it. I love messaging people. I will do content for it. I love to create the food even. I love to get the sponsors. And she's like, great, I'll get the domain. I'll set up the landing page. I'll do the Eventbrite. I will make the graphics. I will do this. And I was like, we just checked off everything on the to-do list. Done and done. And that's when you know you found the right person to do business with. Now, do I think you have to be besties with people that you do business with? No. Do I think there can be a good separation of church and state when it comes to this kind of thing? Absolutely. But I do think having qualities that support one another are key when you are partnering with anybody on anything. And I think this was a good test for A, our friendship, and B, our future together as partners in anything in the future, because this is just a one-off event. But what we did was we secured 6 events, so 6 months worth of these events, because we both knew that a one-off event could just be a one-off event. You're not going to have any data to track. You're not going to know, where this could have scaled to. You're not going to know what these people might need from you. You're not going to know what landed because you didn't do it enough times to find out and track anything. So first event was in December. We sold that one out. We learned that for these type of events, a lot of people buy tickets last minute, week of, day of. We were selling tickets to this the few minutes before like the doors opened. And even people afterwards were like, I couldn't get a ticket because I tried to buy it 5 minutes after. I'm like, well, you were supposed to be here at 5. It's already 5:15. So, like, just learning what the buying habits were of these potential people that we wanted to come to our event was so fascinating and gave us so much proof that when we had the next event the next month, we knew what to expect. So we sold about half the seats and we knew that the other half would probably sell the week of and the day of, which it totally did. And the third month was exactly the same. And so what's cool is, once you learn those sort of things and those nuances in whatever business it is that you're creating that you have, it can give you so much more confidence to do different things and to play with different ideas. So, we've tweaked how the format goes for the event and we've kind of played around with what I felt was working and what she thought was working and vice versa, what we thought wasn't working. How could we make things a little bit better, more interactive? How could we get people to leave when they're supposed to? How could we get people to be on time? All of that. So it's been really fun. We have 3 more events on the books, but because we took quick decisive action and instead of like ideating on something for months and months and months, we were able to literally share that story with our attendees about how awesome it is to be able to meet somebody at an event like this. Like her and I met at a girlfriends in business event from Lori Harder the year before. We were then told like, "Oh, wait, you guys both live in San Diego. You gotta meet Jess. You gotta meet Jamie." And so then we took it from there. We took decisive action to, like, get a coffee. And then we were like, "Hey, I kinda like you. Let's have another coffee. How about we meet for a workout? Let's go for a walk." And so we developed a friendship based off of, I think, admiration and respect for one another and what each of us were creating, what each of us were willing to get vulnerable about in our conversations within just our friendship and our business, what we were willing to share about our personal relationships, all the things. And so that's really important when you're networking and when you're developing entrepreneurship friends because I think everybody needs to play a role in your life. I think the significance of who you keep close to you is of utmost importance, and it's going to be something I touch on in the next episode. So you're going to want to listen to both these episodes, in order, because I think intuitively we all know the type of person we need to support us. If you're in your 30s, 40s, and 50s, like you feel me on this, okay? Like in a little hand tap. Um, but often we tend to move towards people that are really, like, similar to us, and, if you know anything about human design, I'm a projector, and generally 2 projectors should not be in business together. We are dreamers, we are ideators, we are people who will kinda sit in indecision because we don't get a sacral hell yes. We're, like, never 100% sure about anything, and, we're somebody who, like, literally needs to be invited into the conversation or the story or the business or, looked at as an like, we need to be asked of the guidance and the advice. Now, Jamie's a manifesting generator, which is a get shit done, boom, 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 boom. And it's just a perfect partnership, again, where we're both at in our business. The fact that she lived in San Diego, the fact that we both wanted to create this, it was like when we say it's luck, but it's like when opportunity meets preparation. We were both actively looking for this type of friendship, partnership, and co-collaboration. And that's how we got what we got. And I think it's the indecision and the inability to take action when I think about anything I might regret, it was not doing the thing or not doing it sooner, like starting my podcast 2 years before, I knew I was ready to start it, but I didn't because of fear, because of uncertainty, because I got in my own way. I let my ego tell me that, maybe I wasn't ready or I didn't need it or how was this gonna relate to the business I was currently in. I couldn't play the role of what, like I said earlier, of where I wanted to be because I couldn't quite see it yet. And so that's why listening to podcasts like this, I listen to other podcasts as well. I even often listen back to my own podcast because I'm generally saying the thing I needed to hear and just regurgitating it to you because I know you probably need to hear it too. Because if you listen to my show and you follow me on social media, you probably resonate with me on some level and we'd probably be friends in real life. So I hope that when I share all of these things, you're like, yes, girl, I totally get it. And you're able to find yourself in a lot of the stories that I share on this podcast because that is really important to me that when you're here, you feel like you're seen and you're heard and like, I get you because this is a totally like come with me podcast. I am never like, yo, I got it all figured out. Y'all just got to do what I do and you will have X. No, no. In this case, it worked out. But I share with you after the 320 plus episodes of the show that it did not always look like that. And I've talked about that on almost every episode I've ever recorded a solo about that I literally just had to start and figure it out as I went. That's how it was when I started out in beauty school. I had no idea the career I was going to have. I had never seen a successful hairdresser. I didn't even know what that would look like. I couldn't even be it till I saw it because I didn't know how to be anything because I didn't know what that looked like. But I had an idea of what someone who took their business seriously would act like, dress like, talk like, how they would promote their business. And so I did my best and it did amazing. And I built a six-figure business in the beauty industry in a little under a year, which was unheard of back then. And that was through guerrilla marketing, being willing to talk to people, being willing to hear the word no multiple times, being willing to do free work, to show up when I wasn't going to get paid, to actually invest money I barely had at the time, to learn more skills, to get in the rooms of people who knew more than me, like all of that. And when you surround yourself with people who are doing the things that you want to be doing, who are talking about the things you want to be talking about, who are influencing you in a positive way, that can change the fucking game for you. And that's why these episodes come out on Friday because this is a big fucking fuck yeah, excuse my language, around like remembering who you are at the end of the day, to trust your intuitive nudges, to trust that gut decision, and to take quick, decisive action and know that no matter how that action pans out, whether you're like, oh, see, I knew that wasn't going to work out, but I'm glad I at least tried it because now I know, or wow, that really turned out better than I thought it could. I wonder if I just made a few tweaks, how much better it could be. And so, with that mindset and with that being said, the fear should kind of take a back seat, not even a like passenger seat, like a fucking back seat, because you know that you're a badass and that no matter which way the tables turn, whether you're like, definitely shouldn't have tried that, but I figured I had to just in case, or you came out on the other side and you're like, I'm so glad I did that. I would have never known like how much easier it was to just do the thing or how much better it could be. That's worth celebrating. And I want to acknowledge if you've done any of that, whether it went one way or the other. I hope you take so much pride in knowing that most people won't even try. They won't even speak their idea to somebody. They won't even tell somebody their crazy dream because of fear of judgment, fear of uncertainty that they could make it happen. And some of us pretend, oh, yeah, if I wanted to do that, I could. I'm so guilty of that. I'm like, oh, I totally could do that if I wanted to. And I think that's how I felt about podcasting. I've always talked this much. I think since the minute I could talk, my mom was like, it was like somebody put a quarter in you and you couldn't shut me up. I don't think sugar or caffeine has helped that at all. And I'm sure I have quite a high range of ADHD. But with that being said, I knew I should have started my podcast sooner. I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to ask. I didn't have a plan and I was scared. And I think fear held me back from so many things that I finally got sick of my own shit. And the pain of not knowing what could be got me out of my own way, along with a few different, like, things that happen in life, one being my salon being closed and the livelihood of my life and my business being taken away from me, double stack that pain. And I was at the point where I was like, F it, what do I have to lose? What do I have to lose? If nothing comes of this, at least I could say I tried. And I'm somebody who never uses my half my ass. I use my full ass. So I'm like, if we're gonna do this podcast thing, we're gonna do it. What's the statistic? Okay, most people don't make it past episode 10 or 20. Great. I'm gonna record 25 episodes before I even drop one because then I won't be a statistic. I'll have at least 25 episodes out. And that's what I did. And so if you can find ways to beat the odds and to play the game at a higher level, you will win. You will win. You will win the lesson you needed to know. You will win the money you want to make. You will win at the game of entrepreneurship because that's all it is. And one of the girls that spoke last night, she talked about the ability to go from somebody who only sees challenges as problems to go to the person being someone who finds the opportunity in challenges. Have your pity party moment of, oh, fuck, why is this happening? This is a challenge. This is making me question my entire self-worth, self-being. Should I do this? Should I not? What have I gotten myself into? And reframe that as, is there an opportunity hidden in this challenge? And can I find it? And can I do something? Because those of you who can find opportunity in challenges are going to be able to withstand all of the things that are going to come at you. The 2008 housing crisis that happened, I got sucked into that, but because my business was solid, I made it through. when, the last little bout happened with everything in COVID and everybody shut down. I made it through then too because my resiliency muscle had been flexed so hard so many times that I was like, there's massive challenges happening right now. Where is the opportunity for me? That's when I started the podcast. That's when I officially launched the coaching business. That's when I pivoted from doing things just for my beauty industry people into more high level entrepreneurship because I knew at the end of the day, I could help more people on a bigger scale. That's why this podcast was rebranded after about 40 or 50 episodes. We went from being called the Beauty Inspires Beauty podcast, where I focused mostly on my entrepreneurs in the beauty industry, which was an amazing time. And I learned a ton about my people. I learned about their resiliency and their ability to, you know, overcome fears and challenges with building teams and going for it and opening their own salons. And it was so motivating to me. And then there were so many other people that I wanted to learn from that were outside of my industry that I knew would give me a different perspective on business and life, that if I could take that into my beauty business, I would change the game for myself. And that's what I did. And those motivating moments and those people that have come in and out of my life, I appreciate so much. And I hope that you have those people in your life. I hope I get to be one of those people in your life. And that's why you listen to the show. And if so, I'd love to hear from you. So send me a DM, screenshot this podcast, and share it on social media. It means the absolute world. When you tag me on social media and you share the podcast and maybe a quick takeaway of how it impacted your day, maybe even send it to one of your besties who you're like, girl, you got to hear this episode. She was talking to you. That is like a love language unlike anything else. When people send me podcast episodes, I'm like, you do love me. Or like book recommendations. I'm like, we are a family, okay? Okay. So I hope if you're listening to this on a Friday, you are celebrating a fuck yeah Friday. If you are listening to this episode on any other day of the week, I hope you're having an F yeah, whatever day it is. And you can still take a moment, collect yourself. I love to sometimes put my hands in a heart prayer, a big deep breath, or a few cleansing deep breaths, and just sit in the gratitude for what life truly is and has to offer us. And remember that as challenging as pockets of our day can be, we get to live this one beautiful life. And in order to do that, we have to think with our heart, we have to think with our mind, and we have to trust our intuition. And we have to put ourselves around people who are going to be able to hold that energy with us and for us. And in turn, you can do the same for other people, creating yourself as a great leader, a thought leader, someone who can, pave the way for other people. So you got this. Celebrate something big today. I want to hear what it is. And I can't wait for you to listen to the next episode that's going to tie into trusting that intuitiveness, that knowingness, and, especially when it comes to who to be around. I'm going to dive into that. So sending you so much love. I'll see you on the next episode of Unscripted.